All right, welcome. Turn my mic up a little bit here. Welcome. We are live here at Moneyline MMA. After missing a week there, it's been a little bit of trials and tribulations for us this year so far. Just kind of aligning some life things, life events. But we are back for UFC Fight Night in Mexico City. This fight card is highlighted by Brandon Moreno versus Loner. Am I saying that correct? Loner? I don't know if I'm even saying that correct. Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh, I believe, is that name pronunciation. I might be butchering that. And apologies to our friends in England, if so. Loner Kavanaugh versus Brandon Moreno in Mexico City. Brandon Moreno's home ground. And we'll see what happens. This fight card starts at 4 p.m. Central Time with the prelims, so we'll get our normal fighting parameters there. Paramount Plus has been pretty good about cards not really going too late at night anymore. That's one of the bigger things I've noticed, especially with pay-per-views. Those pay-per-views are ending at like 11 p.m. So we'll see if that continues. But last week, Jose and I did not get to run a show, but we would have been discussing Sean Strickland versus Fluffy. And being completely transparent, I likely would have picked Fluffy. In hindsight, should we have done our picks for that show? I thought Fluffy was going to engage a lot more in the wrestling. I don't know if you got the chance, Jose, or how much you saw from that fight, but can either of us explain why Anthony Hernandez tried to just stand there and box Sean Strickland? Can anybody tell me why that would be a good idea? I genuinely, I don't understand. Like, there's just no way his coaches were like, all right, dude, your best shot of beating Strickland here is boxing. Excuse me, you're Anthony Hernandez. You're landing over 5 takedowns every fight. What are we doing? Yeah, like, I'm curious, Jose. Do you have any thoughts? Like, am I missing something here? Why?
I think, it could be a mixture of a couple things. I think maybe it's just the fighting style of Sean Strickland is a little deceiving, and maybe he thought he could stand with them. He probably didn't respect his defense and offense a lot. But, Sean Strickland, like, he's just as the type of guy that when he gets hit, he just is going to eat it up and keep pressing forward, and which is
Yeah.
ultimately what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he doesn't get enough credit too. Maybe I think he has like better wrestling defense than he gets credit for, but just because of his funky style. But Strickland back in the day was more of a grappler himself, so I feel like that's why he has that confidence as well. Like if anyone like to just stand up straight and be in front of someone because he's not afraid to really be taken down. So I think it was just the combinations of Strickland's confidence and the style of just pressing forward and Fluffy just misreading them and just thinking like, oh, I got this when really it was going downhill for him.
Yeah. I mean, you must be right. It's just wild to me because Fluffy only on the books, at least on the books from UFC stats, he attempted one takedown and failed on that one takedown attempt. Sean Strickland landed a knockdown, so there did end up being some wrestling back and forth from that, but there was no takedown recorded in this fight. And I get what you're saying. Like, there's got to be some level of like you're watching film and you're trying to dissect Strickland's form and this and that, and there's going to be some misjudgment and stuff like that, sure. But for Anthony Hernandez to not even try more takedown attempts is wild to me. In my opinion, it's like with Khamzat. People think, oh, well, Khamzat just needs a guy that's good enough to counter wrestle him and he'll lose. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess, because if that's the case, it's going to be the best wrestler the UFC has ever seen, the world has ever seen. And when you're so, it's like the Bruce Lee, I believe, who said it. I fear a man who's done one kick 1,000 times than 1,000 kicks once. So you're that good at wrestling, Fluffy. That's your thing. Use it. I don't care who you're fighting. I do not. It should be something you're going to, period. Try and stop me, Sean Strickland. Try. I'm going to need you to defend 10 of my takedown attempts before I get, finished or lose in a decision. But in this case, finished because they only went 3 rounds. But it wasn't like a full KO. Either way, that's disappointing, man. I thought more of Fluffy. And I didn't even get the chance to pick him and lose the pick. But I probably would have.
I'll just throw my pick in there. I think because I think I probably would have gone for Sean Strickland because like The only reason I would have gone for Sean Strickland would have just been the experience and just the dog that he is. Like
Yeah,
he always shows up, and like no matter who the opponent is, he shows up and makes it a tough fight. And he's had a history of putting down kind of those up and comers. Like it always seems like it's a theme. Like he destroys up and coming prospects, like how we did with Magomed and Nasruddin Imavov. Like how they when they were coming up, he just kind of halted them. But then he gets a title challenger, he gets like a top prospect, like a title challenger, like he goes against Izzy, he beats him, and then so it like because so that's how it is. Like he'll beat two dudes that are up and comers, and then he'll get a title shot whether he wins it or loses, or he's already the champ, and then he'll lose to a really top like proven guy, and then he'll go back and defeat some up and coming prospects again. Like this, now that he got this win over Fluffy, I do actually want to see him fight Khamzat Chimaev, though. I think that'd be
same.
a fun fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just know Sean Strickland's just going to press forward like Gilbert Burns did against Khamzat Chimaev, but Sean Strickland's he's just a bigger, thicker dude, and I actually would love to see how Khamzat will take him down. So, and if he does take him down, how long they stay on the ground. So, yeah, I probably would have just gone for Strickland just because of the experience and wild animal that he is.
Man, you make a great point on. You kind of read my mind because I actually was while you were talking, I was going to look at the middleweight rankings, and I was like, I wonder if Sean is the best opponent for Khamzat in the middleweight division. And after looking at it all, he sure is. He sure is. He's such a wild combination of like eating shots, standing in front of you. He has a piston, like just his jab is just it would finish me. He would just give me a jab or two and I'm out. But yeah, to see how Khamzat would deal with that, in my opinion, Khamzat takes down Sean in about 30 seconds. But that's just my opinion, and I'm an American saying that. It's anti-American of me to even say, but Sean Strickland's kind of an idiot anyway, so I don't really care.
Fair.
So yeah, anybody that was listening now probably just got off because they're like, "What? This guy doesn't like Sean Strickland?" Wrong. I love Sean Strickland, but Khamzat's my boy. So is what it is. They just happen to fight in the same division. But that said, we're going to get into our picks for this Saturday. As always, we do our picks from our best lock of the week first. As a quick reminder, I should go over our weights. We do our picks in a weight system with 5 weight being the most confident, 1 weight being the least confident. We make our picks separate and then just confer right before the show so we know what order we're going to go in. Because as I already mentioned, we do our locks of the week first. Our locks of the week are our 5 weight picks as they're our most confident. And then 1 weight pick is still a pick that we liked on the card, but it is less confident than the 5 weight. We're going to start with our locks of the week first. So for this Saturday in Mexico City, my 5 weight is taking us straight into the main event. It's been kind of a theme lately where I've taken 5 weight main events. It's gone a little bit up and down, but in this case, I'm going to be taking Brandon Moreno. Is a 5 weight pick. He's minus 245 on FanDuel. Loner Kavanaugh at plus 186. This is, as I mentioned, home turf for Brandon Moreno, and I fully anticipate him to take full advantage of that. I saw this matchup, and I don't mean to disrespect Loner Kavanaugh, but I just wondered, like, what did I miss? I think he's a good fighter for sure, but what did I miss for him to be able to deserve a main event at a Apex or whatever they call it now, Meta Arena in Vegas card? Like, he just lost to Charles Johnson, man. Charles Johnson is like one of the more average dudes of average that you can like genuinely. He's straight up average. He's like average at everything. And he's coming off that loss, getting finished nonetheless. And they're like, yeah, feed this guy Brandon Moreno on his home. Where does that make sense? To me, nowhere. And again, I don't mean to sit here and have a bashing party on Kavanaugh. He's a great fighter, but it's like a levels thing for me. He's had 10 professional MMA fights, and he's coming off his first loss. And you're giving him the biggest moment that he will have ever seen. And that to me is a big deal. Brandon Moreno has been there. He's done that. Champion through and through. 6 straight champion competition fights, whether it was defending or going for the belt. 6 straight. And every single one was a dogfight with the best of the best in the world. And just because he's coming off, he's 2-3 in his last 5 against the best in the world, he's not going to lose this fight against Loner Kavanaugh. I'm very, very confident in that. Um, he just, to me, he really wins this fight everywhere, and it's not by a huge margin. Like, they're both good boxers, they're both good at stand up, but I still think Brandon's a little better. You know, they're both decent wrestlers, but Brandon Moreno's got a lot more submissions on his record. So all those things point to me indicating a very easy win, very easy pick, I should say, not win. Of course, no fight is easy, but very easy pick for me. 5-weight Moreno. What do you think?
Yeah, Nick, this one I heavily agree with you on this one, all the way to the point where I have Brandon Moreno as my 5-weight as well. The reason why I'm going with him is just the proven track record that he has. I mean, Brandon Moreno's been there with the top of the food chain in this weight division, and he's been at the top. We've seen him also face adversity. He's been cut by the UFC and he's come back. He has wins and losses, and he's proven like the heart that he has. He has a chin. That was the biggest thing that surprised me about Brandon Moreno is how tough his chin is. He's really hard to put down. And as you mentioned, he has phenomenal grappling skills, along with his amazing striking. Whereas Kavanaugh, he himself, like he's, I still think he has a lot more to prove. And this almost seems like a gimme fight for Brandon Moreno because Kavanaugh really hasn't proven much in the UFC. He's 9-1. Yes, he has a good record. But as you mentioned, he did lose most recently to Johnson, and Johnson we saw Alex Perez just finished him, and Johnson, like MMA math doesn't really matter here, but but Johnson just made quick, easy work of Kavanaugh and finished him in the second round. So I don't think Kavanaugh's going to have an easy time putting down Brandon Moreno. Brandon Moreno's going to keep pushing back at him. And how many five round fights has Kavanaugh have had? I'm not sure, but like I definitely know that Brandon Moreno's had way more than him, no matter what. And so this is just like another day for Brandon Moreno, to be honest. Like it's in Mexico City as well. Brandon Moreno's hometown crowd. He's the main event. He's been here before. He's done this and succeeded against better, more experienced fighters. So I think this one is just no brainer. Going to go for Brandon Moreno. I feel so strong about him. Honestly, I don't know much more I can say. I love his 3-inch reach advantage he has over Kavanaugh as well. Obviously, the experience is there. The striking is going to be a high level striking match, but I think Brandon Moreno that at the end will get the best when it comes to the grappling as well. Kavanaugh is a pretty decent grappler himself, but Brandon Moreno is also really good with rolling with the punches and going with the flow of the fight. Kavanaugh, I don't think he flows as fluidly as Brandon Moreno, so I just think Brandon Moreno is an overall better fighter. Easy number 5 weight for me. That's my pick. I agree with you.
Yeah, man, it feels like I hate to call it like the easy pick to make. I already did earlier on, but like it really is, man. And we're not here to make the picks on the highest favorites, right? And I'm sure some people are going to tune in and expect like, oh, well, I want to find the guys who picked Loner Kavanaugh. I mean, go ahead. You're going to find us pick plenty of underdogs. This just isn't the spot, man. This is just not the spot to be against the crowd. It makes a lot more sense for Moreno to win this fight. And if you think Kavanaugh will win, go ahead. But that's a horrible bet to make based on the odds. Brandon Moreno should be swapped with someone else on this card that we might talk about soon as that heavy of a favorite instead of that person. Because Brandon Moreno, in my opinion, should be 5-1 against Kavanaugh. But that said, as both of our 5 weights, we both agree that I'll guarantee the lock of the week on Brandon Moreno. And from there, let's see what Jose's got next as his 4-weight.
So for my 4-weight, this is the lightweight bout in mid card between Daniel Zellhuber and King Green. I do not have the odds for this one, Nick. So I'm gonna need you to announce them. But that being said, this one I feel really good with Daniel Zellhuber. I always like Daniel Zellhuber. I think he's a dog. You know, he's looked pretty much overall really good in his UFC career. He did lose to Michael Johnson, which, you know, Michael Johnson just seems to show up and beat people he isn't and loses to people he should beat. But Zellhuber, you know, even though he's on a 2-fight losing skid right now, again, there's the Michael Johnson one. I will give that one as a fluke almost. And then the Ribovics fight, he went to war with him. But other than that, like Zellhuber, I just like how he matches up more physically against King Green. King Green, he has a lot of experience, as we can see, 33-17. And he's been there with some of the best, but he doesn't really win and beat those guys. Every now and then he does. But I'm looking at this fight more like how he fought when he fought Jalen Turner, for example. Jalen Turner being a significantly bigger guy, and it didn't take much for him to finish and knock out King Green. I think Daniel Zellhuber, I think this fight will play something similar as well. I don't think he'll need much time, and he'll probably put out King Green based off the physicality of it. I mean, Daniel Zellhuber has a 6-inch reach advantage over King Green, and he is significantly taller as well. He's 6'1", King Green 5'10", and these dudes throw high volume of punches, but King Green does tend to leave his hands down a lot, which is how he's been clipped multiple times. I think Daniel Zellhuber is going to overall just land more shots and harder punches on the feet. And when it comes to the grappling as well, I honestly don't think this fight will go down to the ground as much. And if it does, it will be probably because King Green's going to try to force the fight to the ground more. And I feel like that may almost come out of a place of desperation just to get some space and be safe for the time being. But overall, I think Daniel Zellhuber is going to just be the better guy in this one as well. I think the reach advantage will play a huge part, and same with uh, his high striking percentage, but he does absorb quite a bit as well. But I think a lot of that, the 5.91 absorbed strikes per minute, I think it comes definitely mostly from the last two fights that he's lost. Those, like I mentioned, he went to war with Ribovics and Johnson too. You know, that went all 3 rounds, and I'm sure they were throwing a high volume of punches. So, and Johnson is mostly other strikers. So I think a lot of that does come from the last couple fights. While King Green, he himself, like we've just been seeing him get finished quick without even having to throw that much. Like, you know, just the way he's been getting put out is pretty crazy. Like how Patty put him out as well. So that being said, I like this one a lot for Daniel Zellhuber. I feel really good about him, even though he's on a 2-fight losing skid. I think he's going to bounce back with this one. So he is my 4-weight. Nick, what are your thoughts on this one?
Man, we're going to agree here, and I will say, so we're going to agree down to the weight again, actually, back to back. As a reminder, folks, we make these picks separately and only tell each other before the show. We made these picks individually for weighted on Zellhuber. I will say, you mentioned earlier you don't have the odds, Jose. Zellhuber's at minus 520. King Green plus 350. It's a bit steep, and that's the exact fight I was referencing earlier when I mentioned that I think, in my opinion, Zellhuber should be about 245 area like Moreno, not 250 or not 500, and Moreno should be the one that's minus 500. I think those should be flipped, but the public speaks, and whatever the public bets on is where the books will go. And I fully agree with Jose that I think Zellhuber wins this fight. I think he's for sure the better fighter of the two. I will say the reason of not pushing it all the way to a 5-weight for me is just because of that off chance that Bobby Green comes in there and just dusts Zellhuber, because we have to admit Zellhuber, I mean, you look, he's fought now 7 times or 6 times if you don't include Contender Series, and he's got a negative striking differential, man. He's taking shots, and yes, he's dealing shots, but in so far, you know, in his fights right now, he's 3-3, and he's taking a lot of shots. If Bobby Green hits him with the wrong hook, I mean, it could be over. Bobby Green's got 11 KO wins under his belt, so that's what pushes down to a 4-weight for me and makes me believe he's not worthy of being quite minus 500. But to me, Zellhuber is for sure the better fighter and should win this.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think those odds are a bit too steep for Daniel Zellhuber, especially just coming off two losses. And King Green is obviously not just someone to kind of dust off to the side. So
Right.
that being said, yeah, I agree with everything you said. Daniel Zellhuber, my 4-weight top. But yeah, I think the odds are just not. I don't think they're as accurate and fair in this one.
Potentially some money to be made there for folks that are paying attention. And we shall move on. That'll be both of our 5s and 4-weights, as we fully agreed on both. So we'll move on down to my 3-weight then for this Saturday. My 3-weight, we're going to stay on the main card. I think for all of our picks tonight, there's 6 fights on the main card, 13 fights overall. I think all of them fall on the main card. I'm going to be going with Edgar Cairez in this flyweight bout. It'll be the middle of the chain here, right before the Zellhuber fight we just discussed. I'm picking Edgar Cairez to beat Felipe Bunez, I believe is how that would be pronounced, given he's Brazilian. Felipe Bunez coming off a loss to Ravel Estevan, beating Jose Johnson. Lost to Josh Van. That's very respectable loss to take. And before I forget too, let me go to the odds real quick. So Edgar Kairaz is minus 295. Felipe Bunez plus 220. So I'm picking basically 3-1 odds here on Edgar Kairaz. Totally similar situation to Zellhuber. I see Kairaz as being the better fighter here. Kairaz 4 KO wins, 0 KO losses. Felipe Bunez is a little bit, I mean, he's been finished before, submitted and finished on the feet. Kairaz to me posted a little bit more of a urgency to finish the fight and a little bit more danger in that sense with power and this potential for submission as well. I like that a lot. I think Bunez is a good fighter, but in general, I just have not seen anywhere near enough from him to place confidence in, to me at least, seeing Edgar Kairaz come off a win. And not only that, but a good submission win where he got a performance bonus, right? He came off that win, beat CJ Vergara. That to me is all I need to see in order to have some confidence behind the guy. Whereas Felipe Bunez kind of coming off the opposite, where he kind of got his butt kicked for 3 rounds and he needs to make a turnaround. So for those reasons, I like Kairaz as my 3-weight. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, Nick. So for this one, I do not have a pick. It was a tough one for me because both I haven't seen enough of Kairos to be honest, but I mean, I off his first fight, getting that win in the first round. I mean, that's I guess all I need to really see. I guess. And with Felipe Bunez is like the same thing with him. Like I just felt like both these guys could kind of capitalize off each other's weaknesses and could almost make it lights out for anyone. It was almost like this one for me was almost like a dead 50-50 split. I could have gone either way. Kairos has the reach advantage, and both have a good level of experience and high volume of punches, but both also eat a lot too. Both absorb quite a bit of punches. So, and it seems like Felipe Bunez would be the one more likely to engage for a takedown. It was a really tough one for me, but it's hard not to root for Edgar Kairos. It's hard for me not to root for him. So this one, I like the pick of Edgar Kairos, but I have no official weight on it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Jose likes it. And with that, we will move on. So far, we've got all favorites here at Moneyline MMA. Let's see if Jose throws us a curveball.
I won't know if this is a curveball yet, just because I don't have the odds in front of me. But this is the co-main event on the main card, and it's the bantamweight bout between Marlon Chito Vera and David Martinez. And this one, I'm gonna kind of go with similar with like the main event. I'm gonna go with the guy with more experience and a proven track record, and Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera is a dog. He always just shows up in his just A game, even though he lost to Zahabi in his last fight, and then Figueiredo. I still think like he's actually been on a losing skid, to be honest. Actually, since the Munoz fight, he's lost a good 3 in a row. I wouldn't count Marlon Vera out. You know, he's not old yet. Like, and David Martinez, like he still, I think, got a lot more to prove on his end. Hasn't been in the UFC nearly as long, and yeah, he's got some good. He's got a first round stoppage over Oliveira, and he beat Rob Font, which is pretty impressive. But Rob Font, he's kind of getting up there. He's just kind of unfortunately becoming like a journeyman. So I think Marlon Vera is the type of guy to put a stop to a dude up and coming like this. Maybe even a little too soon, but it says a lot what the UFC thinks of him. David Martinez being 13-1. He's going to be challenged here against Marlon Vera. We're going to see if he really belongs in the top 10. That's what the best way I view this fight going for sure. I think Marlon Vera, he's still got a lot of tools up his sleeve. He's a phenomenal striker and got jiu-jitsu. And he does have a 3-inch reach advantage over David Martinez. I like that a lot. I like the reach advantage he has. And both guys too, kind of like the last fight we talked about too, both guys eat up a good amount of punches. Marlon Vera absorbs 5.37, and then the 2 fights that David Martinez has been in the UFC, he's absorbed 2.95. I'm sure Marlon Vera is going to find his face and land a high volume. So I can only imagine that number going up for David Martinez. So I think overall, I think Marlon Vera is just going to be the better, more experienced fighter, and this is going to be just another guy for him as well. Even though he's on a losing skid himself, I think this will be a great fight for him to bounce back as well. So that being said, I don't know what the odds are, but I'm going with Marlon Vera on this one. Nick, what are your thoughts on it?
We finally come to a disagreement here. I will be picking David Martinez as far, as favorites and dogs. Very interesting line here. We've got David Martinez at minus 295. Marlon Vera being disrespected at plus 220. And you will now understanding why I only have David Martinez as my 2-weight here. So we will disagree, but I'm a little less confident than Jose as his 3-weight. And this to me is a low confidence 2-weight at that. I like David Martinez and what he's been able to do so far, but I am worried that he's going to come into this fight thinking he can finish Chito Vera. I don't believe that he can finish Chito Vera. I think he can beat Chito Vera for sure, and I think he has a great chance to, and that's why I'm still picking him to win. But he needs to play this is a 3-round fight and win this by a decision. That's what he needs to do. Do not go in there and guns a-blazing thinking you're going to go and finish Chito Vera with some Superman, strong puncher kick. Just don't do it, all right? Just don't. You're going to gas out, and that's what Chito Vera needs to win this fight. Chito Vera, in my opinion, the only way he wins this fight is if David Martinez goes for knockouts and overextends and gets countered to oblivion, gets kicked to oblivion, and pieced up from start to finish that way. But if Martinez plays it calculated, and I'm confident he can. He just beat Rob Font very decidedly and did not do anything crazy. Unanimous decision. He needs the exact similar outcome here to beat Marlon Vera, in my opinion. I think it's very doable. I will say minus 295. Heck no. Heck no. That's not worth anything. That's too much for a guy that's only in 2 UFC fights. And he's now seeing the biggest chance of his career. I mean, it is similar to Loner Kavanaugh and Brandon Moreno in that sense. And in this case, I'm willing to give the credence a little bit to the guy with less experience in that I've at least seen him do like Rob Font. Rob Font is a very good opponent still, and I do believe Marlon Vera is a little better than Rob Font. Of course, they fought and Marlon Vera won anyway, so that's proof in the pudding there. But I don't think Marlon Vera is also just an unattainable goal by any means. So to me, David Martinez has a little bit more paths to victory here than Vera does, and I'll stick on him with my 2-weight.
No, those are some excellent points. Yeah, honestly, like, yeah, Martinez, he's he's not gonna be an easy one for sure. I'm actually excited to see more of him, but I'm sure in the future, especially if he beats Marlon Vera, he's gonna skyrocket to be a big prospect in this division. So I think once I see a little more of him, I'll better assess him, I think. But for now, I'm gonna have to go with the old reliable, even though he hasn't been reliable lately, Marlon Vera.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. So anyone tracking that knows I only got one more pick for us, and that'll be my 1-weight by process of elimination. And then Jose's got 2 more picks for you guys. That said, my 1-weight, I'm going to be taking us all the way down to the not to the opener, but to one of the openers against Kevin Borjas against Imanol Rodriguez. I'm going to be taking Kevin Borjas to get the win here. This is not the most exciting fight, I will say, especially for a main card. Borjas coming off a loss. Imanol Rodriguez being very raw and coming off a Contender Series win. I'm really not super convinced, as obviously my 1-weight indication shows. And the fact that I'm less confident in Borjas winning than I am in Martinez beating Chito Vera. But that said, I'll still take Borjas here. Losing to Sumudaerji, I'm not actually upset about losing to Sumudaerji. I'm kind of more upset about the fact that he only landed 23 strikes in that entire 3-round fight. There was a lot of wrestling involved. He had a lot of control time, but still a little bit concerning there. But he was just outmatched. I don't think Imanol Rodriguez is a bad fighter, but I think he's got a little more growing to do here. And I've certainly not seen enough just in him getting the Contender Series win, even though it was a first-round finish. I like Borjas for a lot of the same reasons that Jose may or may not, in the sense that he's got the experience here. He's been there against better opponents. You want to nitpick who he's lost to? Well, guess what? It's Josh Van, right? He's just fought for and won the belt, even though it was kind of fluky how he got that belt. And I definitely think Pantoja deserves another chance, but that's a side issue. losing to Josh Van, losing to Alessandro Costa. Those are not bad losses to take. And Borjas, to me, is just the better fighter overall, so he should win. Last thing I'll close with is that Borjas is a plus 300 underdog. I say all those things to say that the kid coming off Contender Series, because he got that first round knockout, is minus 430 against the guy who's been there, done that, 4 opponents in the UFC. And yes, he's 1-3, but look at who he's lost to him. Just saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit on this prospect, especially if we can get plus 300 odds. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you on pumping the brakes on the prospect for Moreno Rodriguez. This one, I'm going to go with Kevin Rojas as well as my 2-weight. And the thing is, the biggest one is just haven't seen enough of Emmanuel. Like he just, we haven't seen nearly enough to really make a good assessment on him. He's only 1-0 right now. It looks like professionally, and yeah, well, now here's his 6-0. From the Contender Series, yeah. So, but inside the UFC, real UFC, we have not seen much of him, and he's got some finishes, yes. But who are the opponents he's really going against? Prior to the UFC, like I kind of would like to have a little more of a better idea of him, based off like film from actual UFC fighters, not anyone before that, because a lot of these guys can fight tomato cans. And I mean, he looks like a beast. And so really, I'm picking more Kevin Borjas more based off just Emmanuel Rodriguez's inexperience. It's more just because of Emmanuel Rodriguez himself is why I'm going with Borjas. It's just, and like you mentioned, like even though he doesn't have the wins, he does have the names like Josh Van, and he does have a win in there, especially against like a wild one like Ronaldo Rodriguez. Like he's got to win over there, and Rodriguez, he was on a 2-fight tear up until he ran to Borjas. So I think this one, yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm going heavy on the experience, and even though it's not that much more experience, yeah, I'm just riding it. Like both have the same, like 10-4 and just a 1-0 guy. Even though Rodriguez does have more experience than that 1-0. This one is just hard. It's just really hard for me to want to side with Emmanuel Rodriguez, even like based off anything that's on film on him getting like knockout wins. So that being said, I'm going with Kevin Borjas on this one. He is my pick. He is my 2-weight. Very low confidence because this is a fight where we'll find out exactly who Rodriguez is. But that being said, yeah, I have Kevin Borjas as my 2-weight.
Imanol.
I started laughing halfway through that because I just realized that I was saying Imanol. And I heard you say his name and I was like, oh man, yep, that's wrong. So, yeah, let's pretend I didn't say that at all.
To be honest, it's a weird way. I've never seen it spelled that way. So I can see why, like, maybe they will come out and say it's Imanol, but I'm assuming it's Emmanuel though.
Oh, okay. You can't hear it, but the audience can.
Imanol.
I went to Google Translate and typed in his name and switched the language to Spanish to see what the bot would sound like, and it's
Imanol.
Imanol. Oh, Imanol. That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, it is Google Translate. Who can trust that, right?
Imanol. I mean,
Imanol.
that sounds right because I feel like if it was Emmanuel, it would have been UEL. So it's I've never seen it spelled this way. Just yeah. So
well, there
funny.
It is. Imanol. We both.
I'm gonna call him Imanol.
Yeah, Imanol. That's yeah. Hey man, I'm a little too white out here to be saying some of these names. I'm here trying, and yeah, that said, doesn't sound like Jose or I have enough confidence to pick him here. Even though we're both a little lower confidence, we're gonna take Kevin Borjas, get the job done, and I'll let Jose take it away with the last pick on his card.
So for this last pick, it's actually going to be the first fight of the main card, the bantamweight bout between Santiago Luna and Ángel Pacheco. And right now, again, I don't have the odds for this one, but right now, Pacheco, I'm not going to go with him Just based off like it's similar to the last one. It seems like there's just a lot of guys they got on here on this card that just don't have as much experience, at least on the main card, because Pacheco as well. He's only got that one win over. Well, he's got a loss actually over Lawrence. So yeah, yeah, you have to even see any win out of Pacheco, to be honest. And then versus Santiago Luna as well. He's only got one win over Lee, or Kung Lee. So to me, that's at least something. Not much. I'm just gonna really go based off that. As bad as it sounds, but Luna also has a 4-inch reach advantage. He has yet to actually even lose the fight. On record on paper, you see that Pacheco has 3 losses on his record, and both guys. It seems like it's going to be a big stand-up fight. From what I'm seeing, both the guys have yet to even show any wrestling in the UFC, and both guys definitely just throw high volume and land a high volume. I think it does seem like both these dudes are a little more on the lesser experience side for being a pro. So I do think it's not going to be like the most. I think it's going to be an exciting fight, not the most technical for sure. Both guys are going to be trying to finish each other. Obviously, but I think it's going to be an exciting fight, but not the most technical. And so that being said, in this scramble, I will go with Santiago Luna just because he has yet to even show like any weaknesses. Thus, like he has yet to even lose. I'm sure he's probably been tested in the past, but again, like those guys are prior to the UFC, so they really doesn't mean anything to me. Right now, he's in the UFC and he's going against another guy who obviously wants to prove himself, has not really shown anything, has yet to get a win in the UFC. So that being said, I'm going with Santiago Luna on this one. Just very low comments. My one weight. Both of these guys are almost like nobodies, but I'm sure we'll know more of them moving forward. But as of now, this is really a coin flip for me, and I'm going to lean to Santiago Luna just based off not being finished and having the reach advantage. So that being said, yeah, I got Santiago Luna as my one weight. Nick, I know you don't have any more picks, but any thoughts on this one?
I don't. I'll just add in that Luna is minus 480 as a favorite there, so quite steep. In fact, this is kind of unprecedented. It doesn't happen, at least if it is precedented, it's pretty rare. The heaviest, sorry, I was meaning to say the least heavy favorite, right? If you just bet favorites and you were like, okay, so what's the closest fight on the main card with closest to even odds, right? The closest one to that is Brandon Moreno minus 245. Every single other fight on this card has a bigger favorite than that.
That's
Wild.
that's nuts, man. Like if you pick every favorite, you're gonna have to put a lot to win anything decent back then. Like I don't even know if I'd bet on any of the favorites, and I almost would just want to do a whole card of just all the underdogs and like a
Right?
whole parlay. But the underdogs, yeah.
Dude, that would be awesome. You'd probably get a nuts amount of money. 6-leg parlay, $1 on all underdogs, you would win $2,265. So hey, if you got $1 on FanDuel, chuck it in. Chuck it in there if you're cool with losing it.
Yeah, I just might.
But yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back here with some regularity again. Of course, great to see this UFC Mexico card, but of course, the weekend after that, we're getting back into pay-per-view action. First Saturday in March is Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira, I believe, for the BMF. Yes, that's the BMF. Of course, not lightweight or good. Justin Gaethje would be involved. And co-main Kyle Bahayo versus Rainier Dorito. That's interesting. We'll say somewhat underwhelming for a pay-per-view. I will say they can do a better job, but we'll let them slide. This will be their third pay-per-view already this year, so they're at least putting out some content. We love the UFC, and you guys do too. We'll be sure to be back